afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, riveting, amazing Propagandacast. Me, your host and Pearl Dane, the one, the only master of propaganda. Off here to our 1 vs 1 on Crossroads. In the north, it is Matthew. Apparently, that at least was his Steam profile for us. So we'll just call him Matthew or Matthew. Fighting for America, freedom, democracy. Taking on the rule here of the Third Armored Division. In the south, it is VonClausewitz. Fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. Rolling out here with elite Panzer Lehr, Panzer Division with German infantry. Double infantry Panzer versus Recon support rifle and tactical support with triple infantry there for Matthew. We got double rifleman there. MG42 start with light grenadiers there for VonClausewitz. Since, I mean, if you're going for German infantry, you kind of want the grenadiers with the veteran squad leaders at the very least, some of them, because they're pretty good. They are, in fact, very pretty good. The opposite stormtroopers are also pretty good, and even Panzer grenadiers upgraded with veteran squad leaders are also pretty good, as it turns out. Second Rifle Squad almost done there. He is splitting up east and west. He's going to go ahead and disrupt VonClausewitz early game here by going straight for fuel point. Aggressive disruptor plan, that certainly is what the Americans play well too. Grenadiers there setting out for VonClausewitz. Heading eastwards there. Grenadiers heading westwards. Pioneers seizing the point there. Nothing further going on there in VonClausewitz's base. We'll probably see more grenadiers. There we go. Also, as always, please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and press that bell button. We got Rifleman versus Pioneers, attempt to sandbags opposite structure of the Rifleman. So in this case, it's interesting to note he's not going straight for the fuel point. He could try to grab it, he'd be exposed out in the open west with this. He's in heavy cover. And while, of course, he doesn't get the fuel point, he can much more easily just force VonClausewitz to have to commit a larger force to deal with it, so he can't easily get to the fuel point. So, in a ways, it actually is a kind of clever play there. VonClausewitz is sorting westwards, so perhaps he's already realizing this, so he's just trying to play around a possible disruptive move by just grabbing more of the map. And certainly, again, on a map like Crossroads, the fuel points to some degree is actually less important, since again there's just more strategic points. So while of course the fuel points are still handy, they aren't necessarily super vital if you can just grab a good chunk of the map. Of course, you've got a good chunk of that, and the fuel points, obviously, it's even better. But you aren't necessarily, in a way, shall we say, as strictly beholden to it. And there you go, VonClausewitz even trying to turn this against Matthew there by launching a counterattack into the cemetery with his grenadiers. That's a clever way of turning around there against his American opponent. Of course, this does mean the Pioneers are looking forward to very much of the entire thing, keeping up the right flank. So if he makes a mistake with that MD42, that could quickly turn ugly on him. There we go. Pincer maneuver there by Matthew. Flanking up here behind the MG42. That's going to be a retreat. Pioneers also need to retreat there, but at the same course, these start things are working out. Except VonClausewitz here made a bit of a blunder. He split out his grenadiers too easily, meaning the Rifleman, of course, can easily overwhelm one grenadier squad. I mean, up close, the Rifleman just beat them silly. Third grenadier squad there for VonClausewitz. Pioneers surrounding, so not quite the good development of VonClausewitz. All of a sudden, they're in a bit of a tight spot versus his American opponent. Grenadiers versus the other rifle squad. Light cover versus no cover. That is very much in Matthew's favour there. No tech to get there from VonClausewitz. A fast tech could be a very good move. We got fourth rifle squad there for Matthew. No tech yet. Bit of a rare sight, to be honest, nowadays. I mean, most players just go for a fast lieutenant or captain instead of going for a fourth rifle squad. So clearly, Matthew here's got something a bit different planned in mind compared to the average American player. VonClausewitz still not taking up, like, planning more grenadiers. I mean, 4 grenadiers of veteran squad, of course, is quite potent. We'll have to see where that works out. Oh, there we go. Tech, very good. I mean, currently, there's, by the way, no snares up here for most of the units. So theoretically, a fast 250 half-tech here could actually be quite effective for VonClausewitz versus his opponent, particularly since he's gone for 4 rifle squads, meaning he's not really getting any fast light vehicles. So in that regard, a faster 250 half-tech could be possibly something to consider. Then again, he's already far behind in fuel and has to worry about his opponent with more fuel getting up vehicles, so maybe the 250 half-tech is not going to be the best idea here, to be honest, but it could be something to consider nonetheless, just to try and throw his opponent off and launch a more rapid, if not slightly desperate, counterattack. Then he's back up MD42 pushing eastwards. He needs to get some of that resources back into control. I mean, his opponent's already getting twice as much fuel as he is, because he's got both fuel points, a good chunk of the map, obviously. Ambulance filling up there for matching there. Go Rifleman off. Easily dodged though. Of course, had that Rifleman hit, considering how bunched up they were there, that could have probably been a wipe there, which would have been hugely beneficial, obviously, for VonClausewitz. Pioneers making the way back, like to make a nice company going up rapidly. I imagine we'll be seeing, once it gets resources, some fast 2-2s, but considering the fuel situation is still pretty racket, he may just have to go for Panzer Grenadiers or Stormtroopers first for some more assault infantry elements here versus his opponent. Got the captain out, so Pack howitzers very likely to happen, but I imagine also the anti-aircraft half-track, not as popular as the M20 Stuart combo at the moment, but still quite potent. Moving up here in the east, seizing the point there, and we got another Grenadier squad having lost one there. Pretty rough stuff there for VonClausewitz. Honestly, I think a replacement Panzer Grenadier squad would have been better here, but that's just me, obviously. Got the BA out there for the captain. Digging in here. So these regain some semblance of order to the front line, that has come at a rather steep cost here to VonClausewitz and the Panzer Lehr Panzer Division. Certainly because the division was increasingly formed up, or initially formed up heavily of instructional units and instructors and all that, you know, training crews from different instructional units across Germany, which was sort of a reflection of how the Germans actually sort of had their own instructional units, you know, training divisions and whatnot. Like, basically what they did is, when they wanted to update the curriculum, they basically form up a Lehr battalion, or Abteilung, and send it out to the front lines to fight there. For example, in Stalingrad, you had, like, for example, Pionier Lehr Abteilungs, and in, for example, I think it was by Anzio, there was an artillery unit, for example, like that. And that way they gained direct combat experience, and then they sort of head back. They were usually sort of, shall we say, graded higher because of that as well, because they're usually formed up of experienced personnel. So, little fun fact in this regard, the Panzer Lehr was, shall we say, basically their way of just creating an instant elite division based off, shall we say, that principle. So, little fun fact there. Medic bunker up here for VonClausewitz. No veteran squad leaders yet. The faster the better, I'd say. Then again, there's the half-track fast pack 40s will probably also be a really good investment there for VonClausewitz. Continuing westwards, we got Recon support, very common pick, obviously. Alongside heavy cavalry, that is probably one of the more popular American doctrines at the moment. Pearson's routed, he's certainly making progress. Note he's also handing the MG42 aggressor in this case, perhaps a bit recklessly so, but still, he's trying to put it there where it's going to give his opponent the worst time possible, which is generally the best approach. No sign of stormtroopers or Panzer Grenadiers yet. I still feel like at least one squad there for VonClausewitz would do him a lot of good. And of course, veteran squad leaders would, you know, also be a really good investment at some point. They tend to do quite well. Captain stop there by the MG42. Half-track almost done, nothing further going on there. I'm expecting a Pack 40 soon enough. Either Panzer Grenadiers, I mean, that works too. Go versus the anti-aircraft half-track. They're not, even with Panzer X, the best counter, since he can suppress them from a safe distance. So he may have to either cancel them or go for a Pack 40 after they're done. We'll have to see how that turns out. MG42, they're repositioning for VonClausewitz. Half-track Captain Rieston's rifling eastwards. Rifleman westwards, trying to flank about there. Panzer Grenadier almost done for VonClausewitz. There we go. Achtung Panzer Grenadier. Got some upgrades going up. Veteran squad leaders there. So good. Overall, the veteran squad leader upgrade for the Grenadiers just represents a significant boost in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's this the fifth man, but who has a G for the fleet role, just the 10% extra DPS or accuracy, plus being 10% harder to kill because again they're slightly harder to hit, is like really good, to be honest. It just makes them so good. Got Panzer Lehr as the rifle there, forced away. Grenadiers holding up here inside the house, half track ready. That's definitely going to require Pack 40 here since he's not going for a bunch of 2-2s. And even on a map like this, due to the way the corners are built on the map, the 2-2s might struggle a bit to catch the half track properly, in part because it's also really fast, so it can actually quickly turn around to match the 2-2s as they try to drive around it to stay in front of it. It's using the southern point, but there you go, Pack 40 for VonClausewitz and the Panzer Lehr Panzer Division. Sneaking up here with a Panzerfaust. It's obviously not going to stop it, but it is slowing it down a bit for a sufficient long time that might give him enough time to bring in the Pack 40 to sort of further stop it. Pioneers, veteran squad leader Grenadiers moving into these here to flash out the rifleman from the eastern fuel point. Quickly popping back in here. Panzer Grenadiers front against the rifleman in the west. Could add the support package. Mark target is a really good ability, plus smoke grenades are never bad. And in theory, you can always use the rudimentary repair ability as well. So it is quite a high in utility, but it is an ability that honestly does not see a lot of usage, sadly. But it is, I think, quite good. Airdrop combat group here for Mr. Matthew and the 3rd Armored Division. Captain Oakland's going to use here. Panzer is going to sneak up close, I imagine. Pushing westwards here from VonClausewitz Infantry. Got the Captain that's going to use Panzer going to use here. And in east, the skirmishing continues. Rifleman slowly being bled out here. Rifle grenade off, dodges it though nicely. Pushing for the fuel point. Nothing further going on in the base. I suppose he could theoretically try and take up and push out some faster armor here versus his opponent. Wouldn't be a bad move necessarily. And there you go, pack cards ready though. Rather expensive pick to reinforce it with. I mean, paratroopers are quite expensive to reinforce, so a bit of a surprise that you'd figured go for re-echelons or at least riflemen, but seems like here Matthew maybe misclicked. Hard to say either way though. It's crewed by paratroopers. That is one expensive pack howitzer. For sure. Greyhound available here. We'll have to see if he actually goes for it though. Not entirely sure will. Pioneers dealing with the riflemen. Panzer they're going to push for the pack out to try and clear it out. In the west here's basically a small holdout here versus the half track. He's at most buying time for the pack 4 to rather than maybe clear out the half track. MG42 covering up here. Down here nothing further going. We got the veteran squad just being slowly increasing in numbers there. Panzers there need to retreat. Got hit by the pack 4 in the half track. An interesting pick here by Matthew. He's going for the bazooka upgrade. Clearly worried about enemy armor. Certainly they're quite effective against that, but obviously it does decrease their anti-infantry ability there. And these Minions got the riflemen moving up, pack hard being moved forward as well. Pioneers being slowly bled out, need to get out of there fast, very fast. Pedro there being shot down, but MD42 could see a wipe there. See with the veteran squadrons are just basically harassing them on the retreat path there. Then again, there's a good chance they could also get away. We got take out there from VonClausewitz, very good. Meanwhile, Matthew is a bit less keen on that for now. Gonna be holding up against a big infantry push here as Matthew's charging in there. Screaming freedom at the top of his lungs. And he's trying the best to hold the line, but with the pack cards banging them down, plus of course a lot of riflemen, they have to give up, they have to retreat. Panzer Pioneers counter-attacking halfway down with the tech there, northern side being secure, but of course it is coming at the cost of the entire southeastern sector. Still no take up there from Matthew, that is starting to get a bit surprising. As I would say, I figure he's kind of proceeding to sort of take up nicely. The echelons routed, Panzer Pioneers moving about. Of course, also worth knowing about VonClausewitz. He's handling this quite nicely, sort of trying to weave around what his opponent's doing and rather trying to avoid getting bogged down in a pointless fight of attrition, which is really important as the Wehrmacht, and really is one of the best sort of skills you can attain as a Wehrmacht player, understanding when you're just fighting a pointless fight of attrition and when you're not. And of course, avoiding set pointless fights of attrition, because the Wehrmacht really does not handle those very well. Which really again does come across for the whole contrary there to the whole idea that Relics keeps us Spartan. They're this sort of late game defensive faction. They're not. They might be a late game, but they have to be played offensively, and the problem is they still kind of to extent like that offensive firepower. Gonna do doing what they can though. Good flank here on the north side. Could I think have a good shot here versus Matthew and unseating him. Up here can lead us the paratroopers. Again, he was quick with those bazookas, but he might have been a bit too quick there. So Palmer cut there from VonClausewitz will likely go for a Panzer IV pretty soon, and that will give Matthew, though despite having some bazookas, a bit of a hard time. Oh no, Grenadiers got wiped out there. Good hit from the pack howitzer, a bit of a blow there to VonClausewitz and the Panzer Lehr Panzer Division. Panzer they're reinforcing, still no sign of the support package, I'm afraid. Of course, it doesn't have to go for it, but I like it personally. I do think it's a good one. Back here, the troops reinforcing. Finally got taken there for Von Matthew. Von Matthew, nah. Don't think that's a very American name there, Von Matthew. Panzer Lehr there dealing with the captain, closing in on Veteran 2 there. There we go, captain routed. He can go for the Panzer IV now. He probably should retreat those Panzer Grenadiers before they get utterly annihilated. They're already incredibly low on health. It would be a waste to throw away a almost 52 Panzer Grenadier squad. There we go, Panzer IV. Matthew will be able to go for Germany pretty fast after having done, and there you go, Panzer squad. Somehow managed to survive an encounter with a pack howitzer again. Poor Jürgen though is the only one who lives. At the same time, going to be pushed into the cemetery here. Matthew clearly a fan of the brute force approach here. Looking to look well from VonClausewitz, where he was extended with just raw, brutal, punishing force. But not with a lot of speed of maneuver, just raw force. MD42 setting up, he might be able to slow down. There you go, the cluster bombs on the MD42, punishing his opponent there for it. And gets a full whop as well. Then there's not. He's going to try and run for it, but he risked, I think, just throwing away the grenadiers as well. They can maybe charge in the Panzer IV, but that MD42 is looking to be very much lost there to Matthew. A sundering blow there to VonClausewitz. And of course, a good win there for Matthew, who now has one MD42, and VonClausewitz does not. In fact, he's short in infantry as well, whereas again his opponent's got the captain, paratroopers, full rifle scores. That's a lot of infantry though, and there could be some issues there with managing it all down the road. But still, for now, he's got a pretty solid upper hand there with most of the map, most of the force, most of the resources. Victory points wise, VonClausewitz is still holding on, but that's about it. Paratrooper retreat in the face of the Panzerkampfwagenfear. Got a Jackson tanker up there. Clearly, Matthew is prioritising VonClausewitz Panzer IV. That's the main threat. He's not too concerned with VonClausewitz infantry presence so far. Probably because, again, he's got a lot of infantry himself, and they're still pretty damn good, though. He could consider getting a weapon rack up to equip them with BARs. I mean, that'd be pretty good there for him as well. VonClausewitz could benefit from more machine guns and at least a bit more infantry. More Panzer grenadiers could be a good idea. At least maybe some stormtroopers. Troops healing reinforcing, Pack 40 sending out. Needs to be careful not to extend his forces too far either.
Our supply line's cut. Germans are making a push.
So what will VonClausewitz go for next? I mean, he's in a tricky spot there. Perhaps they need to retreat. The moments of the position there where his opponent's got almost twice as many populations being occupied compared to his opponent, indicating he's got a much bigger force here. So VonClausewitz has quite a challenge ahead of him here versus Matthew. Quite a challenge. Got the half track though. That definitely does a lot to sort of clear out the front yard of Americans. Jackson is setting out, and he's pretty much got a Panzer IV Pack 4 to try and stop that. Moves ready for the rapid, need to be careful not to get snayed up, and there you go. Jackson gets a great hit on the Panzer IV. Rapid needs to retreating, note by the pioneers been upgraded with a veteran squad as well, increasing their size as well. Very good upgrade. North Recon is routed by a big push there. Major leading several heroic riflemen to claim back the cemetery from the Krauts. Good push. Back here, troops in reinforcing. Might be planning an Ostend, might be planning a Stug, or I guess another Panzer IV. I mean, that could also work as well. Though at some point, I would like to see at least one more infantry squad there from VonClausewitz.
Send your orders.
Oh. Ask and you shall receive. Stormtroopers. Achtung. Adding the MP40 as well. Very good. So good. That'll definitely increase their firepower, though. He rather landed them straight in the middle of the Hornet's nest. And not just any Hornet nest. The renowned American Florida Hornet with lots of guns. Need to retreat those stormtroopers fast. Would be a shame here for VonClausewitz to throw them away already. Panzer IV being fixed up still. That puts him at 4 infantry squads. Of course, a well-handled stormtrooper squad can be quite disruptive and effective there against his opponent. Also got fragmentation bombs ready. In theory, also assault and hold he wants to use. There you go. Another set of cluster bombs here, though, to make VonClausewitz day a bit less pleasant. Back here, troops reinforcing. Panzer IV setting out. Straight up the right from there, shoots, misses. Captain paratroopers moving up the right flank. Shoots and misses as well. They're shattering an unfortunate and unsuspecting set of barrels. Home to many refugee squirrels from the great squirrel slaughter of Normandy. Right from there being pushed back. Infantry pushing forward here, but infantry continues to threaten VonClausewitz flankiers. He can't advance straight forward to center anywhere else. He has to deal with them here. This comes up for Jackson. Oh, we got fragmentation bombs off. Where could it be? Oh, right here. Oh my goodness. Parrot was wiped out. Very nice kill there from VonClausewitz. Very nice kill. Grenadiers pushing forward to the Panzer backing up. They're rapidly trying to hold the line because the veteran 2 Panzer Grenadiers and these veteran squad of the Grenadiers, they may not have out for long. Still, he's now behind on victory points compared to his opponent, so VonClausewitz does need to pick up the pace here versus his opponent, who's now going for the Scot as well. Back out to the 5 kills setting up. Grenadiers saying east, which the pioneers backing up.
Capture point is being overrun.
Grenadiers was the major. Healing up the Pioneers just to make sure they are combat ready. Not a bad idea there. Panzer IV on the way from VonClausewitz. Scott almost down there as well for Matthew.
We're losing a capture point.
Panzer going to be moving up here.
Armor here.
And using the healing ability as well. Very good, very good. Bit of an overlooked ability as well. With veteran squad, you actually get the field first aid kits for free. Plus, they basically can lose the cooldown, so you can just keep using it, like in a short amount of time, which is sort of funny. Like, it'll show some cooldown, but at the same time, it's not on cooldown. So go figure. Anyway, second Panzer almost done there from Clausewitz. Panzer Lehr routed by a massive infantry assault there by Matthew and the 3rd Armored Division. Riflemen bristling with BARs. Panzer IV there, closing in on Veterans 1 there. Gets a good hill, 9 kills. Veterans 1 there, go second Panzer on the west side. Need to be careful not to extend there. Stormtroopers on their own versus the Riflemen there. Well, except of course the Panzer IV backing the map. Back here, troops reinforcing. Storm swimming on the Riflemen, of course getting a good distance. The amount of a shot there. Field from heavy cover. The Stormtroopers MP40s can do an awful lot of damage at the right distances. And then combine it at the right time with tactical advantage, you can usually land yourself a nice wipe if your opponent isn't paying attention for like, say, a second or two. Panzer's moving up to back up the Pack 40 here. Panzer IV falling back, Panzer's moving up. He could add, of course, support package to help repair them. Though I mean, also not need so many Pioneers to repair stuff. Captain members of the Grenadiers. Of course, they're a full replacement for them, but you know, support the Pioneers in repairing stuff. Machine gun holding up there. We got 234 versus 377. One of these advancing there for the German army, and in these we got the Panzer moving up. They could flush out the machine gun, but it seems like he gets out of it there as well. And there you go, Pack 4 lands into the action tank destroyer, taking a hit from Scott in return. Armor support is seemingly hanging a bit back there. Almost landing right there in the rifle squad. Pack card is actually deeply exposed. Bit of a mistake there by Matthew, and it seems like here from Clausewitz is pretty much realizing they're seizing upon it. We got the cluster bombs called in here to prevent him from either grabbing it or doing anything else with it. Hedges there being bombarded. Panzer IV Pioneers moving up. And a 6-pounder gun here to back up his armor versus von Clausewitz Panzerwaffe. Stuck could still be a good addition here for him, and there we go. Sturmgeschütz 3 Ausführung G. Stormtroopers arriving up close now, going tactical advantage. In this case, a bit slow, but even then can still do some damage. So, I mean, effectively, what it does is it gives them a big accuracy bonus, which actually also means their effective range kind of increases, since they can that way kill more units faster, but also have a slightly improved chance that way of just murdering stuff in retreat. Stuck halfway down there from Clausewitz. East side, we got the Panzer IV, the captain. Grab the western victory point and fuel point there with the Panzer Grenadier, the Sturmpioniere. No, by the way, the Panzer Grenadier is now ace level. Panzer IV there's on watch. Back here, troops in reinforcing, sitting out. Bit of quiet there. And there goes Stuck 3G, early model, which you can tell from the fact that the mantle there in the front is more squarish rather than rounded, which is sort of what happened on the later ones, which gave a basically better chance of bouncing shots off, which of course is what you want to do. Other additions to the later model Stuck Gs were a remote controlled machine gun on top, like on the Hetzer. Also more commonly they had concrete slabs to sort of protect the driver's position, and finally, more later model Stuck Gs were also more common to have a actual machine gun on top of the pin mount machine gun on top. But even some of the early models did that. Which of course would have meant they would effectively have 2 machine guns, further highlighting that the assault guns are not just tank destroyers, which is a bit of a common misconception with some people. But they could, in particular with the late model, very commonly have a second machine gun just to add infinite firepower there. Trooping the body there, we got the Scott Hemingway Jacks moving up, they need to go for the Panzer IV. Stuging up the further right flank. We got Storms with the ready to ambush the riflemen. If they can set up properly, they can do a lot of damage. Cluster bombs in the center though. Pack crew there shattered beneath a rain of high explosives. Machine gun on the way there for VonClausewitz. Pioneers are trying to do some damage. Instead, they get wiped. A significant blow there for VonClausewitz. Of course, now has no way of repairing his stuff unless he upgrades his Panzer guns with a support package, which so far VonClausewitz does not seem wildly enthusiastic about. And there you go. Stormtroopers going for it. Landing a good hit there with the tactical advance there on the rifle, almost taking out the entire unit. Good ambush there by VonClausewitz. Then I think would have done better if he'd actually combined it with assault and hold, though. With the rest of his infantry not able to take advantage of that, that probably would have been a waste. But, you know, he could have done it. You can see that he's quick to take advantage of the vacuum in the center there. Theoretically, though, I mean, if VonClausewitz realizes he could try and launch a big flank assault here, get behind Matthew, then destroy a lot of his stuff. But we've got the Panzer dealing with some forces here on the east. Infantry up from the front, backed up with the machine gun. Is he actually setting up for a pincer maneuver here? Maybe we've got Panzer moving up, they're going for the support weapons, arming straight for the other armor there. Panzer they're going straight for the anti-tank gun. Oh, might actually look like it. And there we go, we got assault and hold Panzer there, banner boosted by certainly having much more accuracy there. Clearing through the rifle, there go bun grenade as well, just to increase the lethality there. Got the unit wiped. Armor finally hit in the east versus the Panzer. Jackson might not make it. Other armor hanging back here. Panzer because just to tear through the support weapons. Nice flank there from VonClausewitz. Nice flank. Could have had a bit more armor support there, I think. Stug and Panzer probably joined in. I think would have done much more damage to his opponent. Gonna still find way there. One pinch squat pinned down, but even then doing a lot of damage. Stug going down here to assist the Panzer versus the Jackson tank destroyer. We got cluster bombs again called in here by Matthew. Straight on the machine gun here. He's trying to deal with the riflemen. Up north, nothing further happening there. Stug misses the Jackson point blank. That's got to be frustrating there for VonClausewitz. Still, Stug has a good rate of fire there. Go the Jackson finally goes out of control. A tactical win there for VonClausewitz. Brutal fighting there in a larger scale assault here. Could have been done better, but at the same time, I will say this: handling an assault of that sort of scale there can be quite tricky. I believe also VonClausewitz hasn't been playing the game in some time. He was a bit rusty, but I would say that was overall a nice stage for the assault there. Certainly caught Matthew there off guard and did a lot of damage. He could still add the support package, you know, help repair these things a bit faster. But again, I'm guessing VonClausewitz isn't particularly keen on that. All the way another Jackson on the way there for Matthew, and the 4th Armored Division, the Panzer Lehr, of course, shown it still has teeth in this sector. Panzer Grenadier setting out their storms from westwards, close to Veteran 2. Troops reinforcing. Grenadiers Panzer moving eastwards. Panzer going straight for the riflemen there. Back here, fixing up the Panzerkampfwagen. And there you go, riflemen, really bad spot, caught off guard, and there's a good chance of wipe here. There we go. Small win there for VonClausewitz. Destroy it there. A bit of Matthew's force in detail. Storms was the rifleman in the east. Veteran 3 though versus Veteran 1 without any arms support. I pops at advance. That is definitely a thing mistimed there. Definitely mistimed. There's a good chance of getting the unit wiped instead. Not good. Not good. I like the idea, but the execution of that was a bit awkward. And they get wiped, yeah. That wasn't the best. Bit of waste of stormtroopers, really, but it can happen. I make those kind of misjudgments as well from time to time, so, you know, not gonna beat him up too hard over it. It can happen. And of course, if the Scot maybe hadn't arrived, it wouldn't have been so bad. Coming up in flanking the MD-42. 20 kills there for the Fatherland. But they will have to retreat. They're taking a lot of damage there from all of Matthew's assembled forces. Arm being slowly fixed up. More armor could be an idea. More pioneers. Stormtroopers, Panzer Grenadiers. I mean, there's basically a lot of things he could go for. He has to resource. He just needs to go there. Go 215 versus 217. Panzer 4 falling back. Halfway to Veteran 2. Other one is also pretty close to Veteran 2 there. Got a Telemine down there. Which, while being constantly spotted, isn't being dealt with there by Matthew. Bit of an oversight there, one could argue. Bit of an oversight. Machine gun under heavy artillery fire from the Scot. Back in, nothing further going on. Back in Matthew's base. Bit of a healing enforcement as well. Captain suppressed here. Captain pinned down. Installations in the east. Of course, still within the vicinity of Scott. It's honestly a bit of a risky engagement from VonClausewitz. He's going to try and get away from those echelons, though. In the west, we got Panzer Lehr into the Major. His armor is looking like it's almost good to go here. Setting out there with Stugs and Panzer IVs. And the captain gets a taste of that. Got a wipe. Matthew there starting to bleed out, heading for the western point there with the Panzer Lehr. Anti-tank moving straight to the Stug. Stug needs to get out of there fast. Schnell. Trying to get away from the captain here. 199 versus 217. And a direct hit from the Scot just tears apart the Grenadier squad, and that's going to be a cost there from VonClausewitz. Oh, Jackson hits the mine. Jackson hits the mine, of course, retreating Grenadiers. Tells VonClausewitz of this. Will he take advantage of this? Can he take advantage? There you go. Panzer IV Vetchney 2. Grenadiers flank up. If we can take out the anti-tank, and that should open up the path here for the armor to go for the Jackson tank destroyer. Will VonClausewitz take upon this? There you go. Panzer IV and the Scot as well there. Both of Matthew's armoured vehicles are now pretty much with the damage in the easy task. Got the Panzer IV going for a deep flank here, going to get behind some of the support weapons, clear them out there. Stuken going here probably for this. Panzer IV could join in as well to help finish things off. Grenadiers taking hits here. Stuken backing up, going for that Scot first. Panzer IV could blitz in here. Rifle Scott retreating, afraid to sort of try and pop an anti-tank rifle grenade here. Scott smoke inadvertently allows the Panzer IV to close in on the Jackson here. Oh dear, and we got the other Panzer from the other side here. Scott down. A bit of a blunder there by Matthew. Tactically has allowed VonClausewitz to deliver a crushing blow here to Matthew. And there you go with that. Matthew seemingly resigns at a shame. GG, game over. A brutal fight here on Crossroads with some good maneuvering from both sides, and then the VonClausewitz proved, I think, a bit more maneuverable, though he did end up floating, I think, an awful lot of resources late game. Could have gone for maybe one mortar or some other infantry here and there. But I would say he handled the doctrine quite well. I think, in fact, he almost used all of the abilities, except, I think, the half-tracks. I mean, that's pretty good as well. Meanwhile, his opponent could have done more with the doctrine. There's primarily just cluster bombs and the airdrop combat group. There's no Pathfinders, no Greyhounds, and no raid tactics either. So, some improvements there as well, I think, could have been done by Matthew. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it, tell a friend, tell a family, but don't tell your enemies. This is Imperial Links and Cheers. Thank you for watching. You all leave one for audience. Hope to see you all tomorrow again for a nice episode. Bye.